I'm just gonna do my One Piece review. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I got some notes here, so let me pull up my notes because I want to actually give a good review here. So there's a lot of like people, I guess, like are always asking what shows should I watch. Are there any good shows out right now? One Piece to me, the anime. I mean, people that some people watch anime, some people don't. To me, One Piece is like the best show of all time, the best anime. But if you're just looking for something that's not an anime, they came out with the One Piece live action. Season one was good. It had its pros and cons, but it was actually pretty good. So this is my official review of season two. And for people that don't watch anime, One Piece live action is a way to get the story, because the story of One Piece is like what makes it a really good show or whatever, a book, manga, whatever you want to call it. The story is really what makes it good. So whether it's in an anime, a book, a live action, the live action gives it another way for people to come across it or watch it if they prefer like humans acting and stuff like that. So this is gonna be my official One Piece season two review. So let's go over here. This is basically some of the characters that got introduced here. The season starts off. One of the main things I noticed, let me start with like how it starts off. So the season starts off in Logtown. Logtown is where the famous pirate. So there's a famous pirate in the series called Gold Roger, and this guy became the king of the pirates, and then they what they do to pirates, they execute him or whatever. So then he got executed, but he said that he hid his treasure somewhere, and now there's all these pirates trying to find his treasure, right? So the place where he got executed is in a town called Logtown. So the Straw Hat Pirates went and visited that town, and it was very like in the anime, it's more kind of thought out because Luffy finds like that the town is very special because this is where Gold Roger, he was last place, and Luffy's whole journey is like trying to follow in his footsteps. So, in the anime, it was done way better as far as like creating that connection there and how special it is to Luffy. But, I understand they didn't have that much time in the live action, but Logtown it's entertaining right off the bat. So like right when they get into Logtown, they run into like an old enemy, and they have a huge fight, whatever. A lot of important stuff happens in Logtown. You get introduced. Well, you get introduced to the Vice Admiral Smoker. Smoker is like one of the strongest opponents they've faced. Especially in the anime, they kind of make it more apparent that they couldn't even beat Smoker. Smoker actually, captured them, and then they get saved by Dragon. It starts in Logtown. Logtown is a cool area. There's a lot that goes on. They fight Buggy. They fight Alvida again, which Buggy and Alvida teamed up. They get introduced to Smoker. You get introduced to Dragon. You get, you know, what else happens in Logtown? Well, I guess that's really it. Oh, they also introduced Bartolomeo in Logtown, which is interesting because you really in the anime you don't see him till all the way like 5 arcs later. But I did like that addition, because you never know if I like the way that the writers are actually snapping. Honestly, like they're being, you could tell that they're actual One Piece like nerds and fans. It's not like just being done by a bunch of posers and shit. There's a bunch of Easter eggs, like you see Pedro's wanted poster and all this stuff. Is you could tell that whoever's writing this is, they're actual One Piece fans. They probably put Bartolomeo in there because what's the word? I'm guessing they put him in because they might not go to season 5, or they might not make it to Dressrosa or whatever when you first see him. So that might be why they ended up just throwing him in there. I feel like they're being smart and just throwing everything now just to like make the fans happy, just in case. You know, you never know if it gets canceled after 3 seasons. So that's kind of like I definitely think that's smart and strategic the way they're doing it. But yeah, Logtown, very very entertaining at first. Right when you leave Logtown, you actually get there's a bunch of things that are like going on. So one of the things I noticed is that like in anime the way a girl looks is very popular. Like she got big boobs, feel me? I don't know if I could say that. She got big yitties, right? And in the live action, they didn't really like do anything in the first season like that. They kind of like whatever. But in this season, I noticed that they actually tried to lean into that. So like Nami's coming out in a bathing suit in one part, looking good. Robin was when she kind of comes in the my roommates are talking. Robin when she pulls up on the boat, her yiddies are looking crazy. She's wearing like this top that just is crazy. So like I feel like they put that back in because that is a popular thing of anime. Let's be real. That's a big thing in anime. So I feel like that's smart for them to do it in the live action. Might as well, right? Like you know who the fans are. You know the fans like that. So, but yeah. So that's one thing I noticed. I like that. And then Vivi was looking good. Like Vivi was looking real good. It was it. This is like very being. This is being. What's the word? One Piece season 2 is a big improvement. I feel like everything is being done closer to the story, and anything they do change in the story is usually a little better. That's the truth. Some of the things, but most of the things that they did change, it's a little better. And they're also just staying super close to the story. Like so, that's amazing. A lot of the actors are. Well, let's get back to the kind of like recap. So they go to Logtown, then they go to what's the word? I think it's Little Garden, right? Do they go to Little Garden or no? They actually go to Whiskey Peak first. So I think they go to Whiskey Peak. Yeah, and this is where the you meet Baroque Works, like a bunch of Baroque Works agents. So first the town, makes it look like we're all just normal people. Turns out the entire town is every single person in there is a Baroque Works agent, and they use it to lure pirates in and like kind of get them drunk and take them out the easy way. So they're being friendly at first. They get the Straw Hats drunk, and then Zoro actually has to go up against 100 agents. This is one thing that the anime is doing 10 out of 10. I think the best character in the entire live action is obviously Zoro. From everything, the way he's a 10 out of 10 actor. He's really believable. He's not corny. The action for Zoro is 10 out of 10. When he fought actually, you know what? Before they did Whiskey Peak, they actually went to the Laboon. They met Laboon. Laboon was cool. They changed one thing in there that I thought was for the better. So like in the anime, I think Luffy like punches Laboon to snap him out of his sadness. In the live action, he sings to Laboon, a song that Laboon likes. So I thought that was done actually much better. And this is where they also meet in Laboon. The ship gets swallowed by a whale, and they meet Vivi and her partner. Right, they both work for Baroque Works. So that was now one thing that the show did kind of cringe in that part is when Luffy gets the ship out and he meets Vivi, whatever. They're having like dialogue and it's kind of cringe, like the way that some of the dialogue writing is done. Everything else in the show is done 10 out of 10, from the sets to the costumes to even the VFX to me was 10 out of 10. Everything's done good. Even like the storyline and the pacing of this season, I thought was 10 out of 10. There's no complaints. The only complaint is the dialogue between sometimes like characters talking. super cringe. Like it's not like a natural conversation. Like no two people actually talk like this. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like that's the one thing I kind of noticed is that when Luffy's like interrogating Vivi, it's just super cringe. He's like, don't even get me started on the Luffy actor. I'll be honest. That the dialogue in the Luffy actor to me is like very bad. Like I think he's one of the worst actors. I just don't think he's a good actor. I don't think he's believable. I think his accent kind of throws things off a little bit. The way he like, I don't. It's not believable. You know when he says stuff. I don't know if it's because like he's speaking a second language that it just sounds like he's not enunciating the words or like he's not saying it right or not the tone of acting. You know, a lot of acting is like the tone and the pace. He doesn't have that when he acts. You know, it's very like maybe it's because it's a second language and he doesn't get the style of how to say certain things. Whatever, you never know. But I just think Luffy is one of the weakest kind of points, or he's just not a good actor. But I can deal with it because the story's so good, and the cast as a whole is great. So I think Sanji's a good actor. I think Nami's a good actor. I think Usopp's a good actor. Zoro's a good actor. So for the most part, if Luffy's the worst one, we can kind of let it go because everyone else kind of carries his weight. But going back, I think Zoro is the best part of like the live action. From his action scenes are just like crazy. He's swinging on ropes and sword fighting. Really feels like a pirate show, like real pirate fights. And then also like the way that he, like you could tell the actor for Zoro actually studied Zoro. The way that he holds his swords, the way that he ties his bandana, it's actually crazy. All the like the way that he mimics the actual anime character, it's crazy. That guy's a good actor, like 10 out of 10 actor. And also Zoro's storyline. So in the first season, Zoro loses to a guy named Mihawk. He's a very strong swordman. He's considered the best swordman in the world. And Zoro loses to him. So in season 2, Zoro is actually being haunted by Mihawk. He's like, every time Zoro's in a fight, he like hallucinates and sees Mihawk like criticizing him and being like, you're still weak, still weak. I think that's something that never happened in the anime, and I think that's a 10x improvement. The way that because that makes it very human, right? Like the dude had suffered a big defeat, and now he's like being haunted by that defeat and seeing Mihawk everywhere, still criticizing him. I thought that was like I said, Zoro, best part of the live action to me, best character, and then second best character is Usopp. Usopp had a comeback this season because they butchered my boy in the first season. I already made a video about that. Go watch that video. Usopp, they did him dirty in the first season. The second season, they finally got him right, and I think that actor encapsulates Usopp. He's funny. He's entertaining. Like he's a really good actor. He carries a lot of the scenes, honestly. And Usopp as a character is a very good character too because he does a little bit of everything. He has his his little slingshot. He's funny. He works around the ship. He's a coward. He hides, but then he gets the strength to push through. So that's why Usopp's such a good character because he's so weak, but it doesn't matter how weak he is. He always stands up and ends up I guess putting his life on the line and somehow coming in, doing his part and defeating whoever he had to defeat. Because usually the crews fight their own opposite member or whatever, and he always pushes on. So that's why he's a good character. Like, you have a little bit of that. So that's the second best character. So yeah, those are the two kind of best things. I already said how terrible Luffy is as an actor. And yeah, like I said, the dialogue was the one thing. The dialogue between like some characters is super cringe. A lot of times it's like, it almost seems like it's being like forced. It's like some of these dialogue conversations don't seem like real, I think and then when Zoro's in the shop owner, that's a good actor. The guy from the shop, they're both good actors. It's the lines that aren't don't really make sense. But they're delivering them well, but the lines are just kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and then what I think the show does really well is the what's the word is whenever like the energy between the cast is actually really good. Like I think these guys are actually friends in real life, like outside of the work. So that's why the energy between all of them actually comes off on camera. Like they're Luffy's best acting is when he's not even it's not scripted. He's just like kind of probably off the dome freestyling at something to me because it just makes he actually acts kind of like almost like Luffy in real life too. Like so yeah. So then yeah, and then the other thing I want to go back to Logtown is there's a moment where Buggy almost like executes Luffy just like where in the same spot that Gold Roger was executed. And I thought it was kind of like cringe because the whole crew just kind of watches and they don't like they're not like Luffy we gotta go get him we like they literally just watch. I think that was like bad acting or bad writing honestly. The Loon part was good. We got to see Brooke. We got to hear dialogue from Brooke. We got a lot of Brooke low key, so that was dope. Like I said, maybe the writers are doing that to just throw everything at the wall as soon as possible, because you don't know if they're gonna get to Thriller Bark in the live action. That might take 5 years or whatever, 10 years. Whiskey Peak, we talked about that. Whiskey Peak was pretty good. The fighting and everything was great. Oh, the guy that I think is an Ingram or whatever, that actor, 10 out of 10. Even the ma part, like I thought that was gonna be super cringe in live action. He did it so perfectly that it didn't even look cringe. Like that's the thing about One Piece is that like if the writers and the actors do it well, you know, it actually takes you into that world because some of the stuff is a little crazy, a little silly, but if the actors actually just like do it well, you're just like, oh, interesting. All these characters are just like interesting. You don't realize that it's kind of outlandish or whatever. You're transported into this world where everything's a little crazy, right? So I thought the Ingram actor was fire. Um, let's see. Little Garden was great. I liked the everything about it. The Giants to me look good. I saw another YouTuber said like he didn't like the Giants. I thought the Giants looked 10 out of 10. Like uh, Brogy, like his nose was at perfect. The beard was perfect. Like everything about that and the size looked good to me. So I don't know what he was talking about. Brogy, they both looked comic book or I mean anime accurate to a T. I don't know what he was complaining about. And everything happened like the good thing about Whiskey Peak is that everything happened almost exactly like that's what I was saying about season 2 is that it's so accurate to the actual anime and the manga that I think that's why this season was so much better than season 1 is they just stuck to the material. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do too much. People are watching this because they liked the anime. Just do what the anime did and just bring it to life. Like they stuck to it so perfectly. Whiskey Peak was almost one to one like the anime, except they did a little like kind of swaps, but the same exact like storyline or whatever. It was amazing. Yeah, crazy. Even little details. That's what I'm saying. Like every little detail was done in the Whiskey Peak arc. For the most part, little changes like tiny changes. The Chopper backstory was done really well. This is one thing I want to highlight is because in the first season you had to introduce like 10 different characters: Garp, Luffy, Usopp, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, and they all had like their own backstories, right? So it got rushed so much that we didn't. It was just bad pacing to me. It was too much. They had a whole episode. This was perfect because in the anime, if you watch the anime, you know that backstories sometimes take 10 episodes. Oda really flushes out somebody's like flashbacks and stuff, of like their past and what made them turn out the way they did and things like that. So when the live action doesn't like rushes through it and doesn't even like explore it, that's where it fails. In Chopper's case, they had a whole episode literally of Chopper's backstory, and I thought it was perfect. It was like 10 out of 10. Like they did it perfectly to the point where that's why I was saying season 2, the pacing and everything and the way that they got everything done correctly could not beat it. They killed season 2. I hope they do the same exact thing season 3, you know. I'm guessing season 3 will be really when they fully go onto the Alabasta arc and, you know, go versus Crocodile. So yeah, Chopper's backstory was done really well. I like the CGI of Chopper. I like his voice. He kept the cuteness. Like the anime Chopper is so cute. Everybody loves Chopper, and that's like I was like, I wonder if they can still do that in the live action. I don't know. And they actually did. He's so cute. The voice is so cute. Like the way he like his lines are so cute. So they definitely they did a good job with that. And yeah, I think this season, another thing that they did good, like I said, like the cast are all friends in real life. Like the chemistry between them is good and real. So I like those little moments where they literally are just joking with each other, like maybe not even written. Like it's probably not even written, and they're just kind of like, you know, bantering or they're playing a little game together or they're like those moments to me were very important in season 2. Like the way that they sprinkled that in every few episodes of them just kind of like laughing and making jokes and hanging out for like 5 minutes in the show, like real friends, like real pirates would actually do in like the cabin of the ship and stuff. I thought that was super important because they didn't do that at all season 1, and it made it seem like their friendship was not real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or because they tried to, the lines said that they were friends, but we didn't actually see them acting like friends or anything of them like being close or anything like that, or the way they became friends or anything. So that I thought that they did really well. And then what was the other thing here? Oh, and then Wapple was done good, like the CGI and everything, and that Wapple actor is really good because you know an actor is good if they make you not like them. You know what I'm saying? He was a real d bag, but he's a good actor, and the story and everything, the CGI was good. And then the last thing I'll say about the season is that the music is not my favorite. I think they need to do something better with the music. They need to bring back some of the whoever was writing the music in the first One Piece seasons. They need to call them up, give them however much money they want, get them to write some music for this show because I don't like that little that thing. Terrible to me, but that's just my opinion. I don't like that theme song. So if they need to make some better music because One Piece, the music of One Piece, that's another epic like big key. Everybody knows the themes of One Piece, so they need to fix the music. So that's my review on season 2 of the One Piece live action. I'm seeing if there's anyone in here. Yeah, season 2, One Piece live action, and like I said, I think my crush right here. I followed her Instagram and everything. She looks so good, man. She look good. But let me wrap this up. Let me see what her name is. One Piece VV. I think I looked her up before. One Piece VV live action actress. Yeah, this girl. She looks real good, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I need that. I need that. When I'm famous, guys, get me famous so that I can take. Let me see if I can pronounce it. Charithra Chandran. Get me famous, guys, so I can take her out and crack that. Please, I need that. No cap. But that is my season review, or that's my review of the One Piece season 2 live action on Netflix. Everybody should watch One Piece. I think it's the best story ever told. And the live action is actually doing a really good job of bringing that to life with human actors and things like that, making the world feel more real. I give it a 9 out of 10. And guys, don't forget. And guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that. Helps the channel a lot. Helps me grow. I appreciate it.